Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my June wrap up, but first let's get some coffee. So the first book I read in June was an audiobook. It was, let me see what it was called because I can't remember, and it wasn't actually that great to be honest. The Centre by Aisha Manazir Siddiqui. It's kind of like a hybrid book because it felt like it was a thriller but like literary, but also sci-fi elements in there, but it was actually just really underwhelming. At the end, like, there was this twist that literally made no sense in it. But the idea of the story is that there's this mysterious centre where people can learn any language within a week. And so this woman who is she's already a translator, so she translates subtitles for Bollywood movies, but she wants to become a serious translator, so she goes to the centre to learn German. And she does. And she's like, how did this happen? Something feels a bit sketchy. Yeah, like it was alright. It was an audiobook listen while I was getting ready for work and driving to work, so it passed the time. That's all I can say. It was alright. Like I thought the discourse around language, culture and things like that was interesting, but just the twist in it towards the end felt stupid and didn't really, like, it was trying to shock for no reason and it didn't really shock me anyway, so mission failed. Yeah, it was alright. The next book that I listened to, because I've just been audiobooking recently, I've been like reading physical books but like so slowly that I would literally be just talking about the same book for months on end. Yeah, because I'm still reading American Psycho. Have I picked it up since the last time? No, I haven't, because I've had like library books come in that get in the way. But anyway, my next lesson is A Magical Girl Retires by Park Sol Young. It's basically like superheroes but make them more Sailor Moon than Marvel, and yes, love it. And there's like discourse around environmental catastrophe, so like global warming, climate change. There's also like stuff about being a woman in society and just how inherently traumatic it can be. Because like the people, the girls in this are magic and the boys aren't, like the men aren't. And it says in the book, which I thought was interesting, that the power comes to people when they're the most vulnerable, when they're the weakest person in the situation. And like, do I need to say any more? Most situations when women need to defend themselves are from men. And that's the tea. Yeah, so I thought it was an interesting kind of cutesy book. Well, it's like almost confectionery, like the cover is beautiful, stunning, look at it, and it feels like it's going to be a bit frivolous and a bit silly, but it kind of really does talk about important issues, and I thought that was great, and it was enjoyable. I started reading Game of Thrones because I've been watching House of the Dragon, and I was just like, oh man, I really need to like actually read Game of Thrones and to see whether it is better. The books are always better, they say. And I really enjoyed the show up to a certain point, so I started listening to it and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm the kind of person, would I be able to sit down and read a 5-book fantasy series that are chunky and ridiculously massive and dense and like loads of different character POVs, especially of characters I don't like Bran, for example. I hate him in the show. Am I going to sit down and read his point of view? No, I'm not. So that's why I'm listening to. Sorry about the light changing today. I've got no other time or place to film, so we're just going to have to deal with the dodgy lighting. And also the whirring machinery in the background. Whoever told you the countryside was quiet, they're liars. It's quiet, but their noise is amplified. Right, so that's basically the book's done, because I'm still reading American Psycho, I'm still reading Black Holes, did I ever tell you that I'd started reading Bearwolf, but like the feminist translation, this one? Well, I'm still reading that. I'm still reading so many books, but it's because I just dip into things, get bored, or lose them, and then never go back to them, or one day go back to them. But yeah, so that is the films done. Not the films, the books. Let's get to films, because I feel like I watched a load of films in June. Don't Worry Darling, that was rubbish. I kind of knew it was rubbish, but I just kind of wanted to see for myself. And yeah, it was rubbish. Why did it get made? I mean, it wasn't that terrible, but it was just like not great. A lot of these movies I watched because I had a 7-day free trial of Sky Cinema when I signed up to Sky, whatever it is, Now TV, something, to watch House of Dragon. So a lot of these movies are just movies that I would have watched at some point in the future, but I had to watch them within 7 days to make the most of 7 free days of movies. So the next one was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. It's Mission Impossible. It's alright. The stunts are kind of cool. The fight sequences are cool. Rebecca Ferguson is always awesome, and she's in it at the moment, so yeah. Then I watched May December, which this is a really interesting character study, and I love Natalie Portman, so she's phenomenal in this. Julianne Moore is great in this. Charles Melton is also really good in this, and it's just so complex, so little just suburban freakiness, and in a way it did kind of remind me of David Lynch's Blue Velvet in the use of nature imagery. This is where we're deep diving here onto something probably quite small, but it just lit up a little light bulb in my brain thinking, this feels like the beginning and some of the imagery in Blue Velvet. So basically, in Blue Velvet, at the beginning, there's like these beautiful plants, and then it shows the festering bugs underneath, which kind of shows that, suburbia is rotten at its core. In May December, there's a similar sort of use of natural imagery, and that is with these bugs that, like, the main guy in it is rearing, so he's rearing, growing, helping, fostering some butterflies. But at the beginning they're all like gnarly and in their cocoons, and they all look a bit gross and like juvenile and sort of, well, they're trapped. And later on in the movie, the butterflies start to, like, they have their rebirth, and it kind of coincides with the character's slow metamorphosis in itself. So I've not told you what the story is about because this doesn't really make sense unless you know what it's about. So it's about this woman who's an actress, and she's going to visit this family who were involved in a scandal years ago. And the scandal was that this older married woman was basically having an affair with an underage boy. I think he was like 14 or 15, which is horrific, when they worked at the same pet shop together. And it caused a sensation in the media, and they seemingly have a very happy life now, but still there's this weird sort of feeling, and it just is a bit creepy. And she's a bit like, the wife is a bit controlling and sort of very childlike, and so is the husband. So it's like they're almost stunted. And so, like, how the nature imagery feeds into that is he slowly kind of begins to have a metamorphosis, and yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, kind of like in the way that then in Blue Velvet, towards the end, these robins come along and peck all the insects to death and take them away to show that the suburbia has returned to its natural state of being idyllic. So the bugs in May, December, the butterflies, so the pupae, sort of show the juvenile and trapped nature of the male character, and then he goes through a metamorphosis of kind of deconstructing the beginning of this relationship, because this actress is coming in, she's asking questions, she's trying to get a feel for how to portray their relationship kindly. It's given him the space to sort of assess what's happened and kind of think, well, shit, yeah, this was fucked. Well, that's my interpretation anyway. But I thought it was a really good movie. It kind of also had like elements of Persona in there, like Bergman's Persona, like these two women slowly almost becoming the same person. I thought that was interesting. Love it. Next, I watched Videodrome by Mon Amour David Cronenberg. I love his weird, freaky body horror stuff, and this is no exception. It's a bit wild, a bit grotesque, but this, like, it feels more prescient than ever. Like, some of the things said in this movie just felt very modern, and kind of like, yes, we've fallen into that trap. Like, there's talk about like basically username tags being more important than your own names, and like, I made a note of one particular quote because I just thought it was fantastic. Let me just find it in me notes. Right, finally found it 7 years later. Public life on television is more real than private life in the flesh. what? Which kind of feels like, yeah, it kind of is like when people are like, oh, if it's not on Instagram, did it really happen? The answer is no. But yeah, it's almost like social media is taking over our lives. Obviously, back in the 80s, television was like kind of the big media, and now I think it's really social media is kind of the new big media that is kind of has become a beast. And kind of like, yeah, does kind of like swallow everything else up and take so much time away from people. But yeah, no, I thought it was an interesting, and it's an interesting movie. If you like body horror, technology, thoughts about the future and scandalous stuff, then yeah, read it, watch it. Next, I watched Broker, which is a Korean language movie by Koreda, who is a Japanese director, and it's a heavy one. It's kind of, yeah, but in a similar vein to his film Shoplifters, Koreda kind of takes a serious social matter and makes it into a heartwarming kind of feel-good movie somehow. But yeah, Broker is essentially about a woman who is feeling overwhelmed, and she puts her baby, well, she takes her baby to a church to abandon it, but then these other guys decide to sell the baby. And it's basically a story of this woman trying to help these men sell her baby, and then the police trying to catch them. And it feels like a found family movie. But the family you find is criminals. And yeah, like it's got some of like the best actors in Korean cinema, like Bae Doona, Song Kang-ho, and people like that in it. And it's a very slow, meandering film, and kind of makes you think about laws around, well, at the moment, definitely abortion, and the state of social options for people, like what is it called? Like social aid for people. Like one of the characters at some point says, like, if they'd helped her out sooner, then none of this would have happened. So it's kind of like sort the law out and help people before they're desperate. And yeah, it's interesting. Kind of like talks about the shame of like abandoning a baby, and in a way was the mother doing the child a service by abandoning it because of the lifestyle that she led. And I think it raised some interesting moral questions. Next, I watched Tar, which for me, I think it was a bit too long, but I do enjoy things about classical music, Cate Blanchett, and just everything that the movie was about. I just felt like it was a bit too long. But yeah, essentially it kind of shows the downfall of this world famous composer slash conductor, and yeah, like her outfits were cool. It has Nina Hoss in it as well, who I just love. I think she's phenomenal. But yeah, like it was just basically like a character study of this woman who kind of loses the plot and says some things, and then it kind of gets taken out of context, and basically cancel culture and stuff like that. I don't really know how to describe it. It's been like more than a month since I've seen it, I think. But yeah, I thought it was good, but just a little bit too long. Then I watched a film called Sometimes I Think About Dying, because yes, I too sometimes think about dying. It's basically about a depressed office worker who is very shy and finds it hard to connect with her co-workers. Kind of feels very familiar. Yeah, it was an interesting watch. I think it was alright. Yeah, some of the imagery was quite cool, but it just felt like mundane. Obviously that was the point. But then I watched A Quiet Place Day One. I really enjoyed this. Like I love alien movies. Obviously I've told you this every single time I talk about alien movies. Like First Contact stuff is immaculate. And this like kind of takes the concept that has been done in like obviously the two now sequel movies, but obviously this is a prequel to A Quiet Place and Quiet Place 2, which I haven't seen. But like the idea of aliens being super sensitive to sound, and how harrowing and scary that would be when you don't know that, and then suddenly you realise, oh shit, they're going after people that are making noise. Like, that would give me a panic attack. I wouldn't survive. But yeah, I really enjoy this. I love Lupita Nyong'o. I think she's like such a cool actress. Joseph Quinn was quite good in it as well, but the star of the movie has to be Frodo the Cat. The fact that it's called Frodo and Lupita Nyong'o's character is called Sam. Thank you for the reference. But yeah, like, I was so stressed about the cat the whole way through. And they did that deliberately. Like, the filmmakers knew what they were doing. They're like, yeah, you care about humans, but you care more for the cat. And so then they'd put the cat in all sorts of fucking situations where you think, oh my god, like, is it gonna die? Is an alien gonna crunch on my pure little baby kitty cat? It didn't. Spoiler alert, the cat survives. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. And there was quite a few jump scares in it as well. Like, it literally made me jump in my seat. And then I'm going to talk about a film that has been very divisive, and I kind of felt a bit strange about it as well. But Kinds of Kindness by Yorgos Lanthimos, who I think is just one of the most interesting directors working in mainstream-ish movies at the moment. And I say ish because this one is just fucking weird. And certainly an isolating movie. If you've enjoyed his sort of like recent hits of Poor Things and what was the film before that, like The Favourite, that kind of felt more mainstream but still a bit quirky, this is very much a hark back to his freaky films of yesteryear. So Kinds of Kindness is like a triptych. It tells 3 different stories, recycling the same actors in each different story, and each story is just bloody weird and hilarious. Like, a lot of these little short films within this film are kind of hilarious if you're a bit nutty. And I think I'm certified nutty after watching this and thinking, yeah, this is great. Yeah, it's not for everyone, most definitely not. But I thought they were hilarious and just bonkers, and just kind of felt like a return to just interesting cinema that doesn't necessarily have to make any fucking sense at all. It felt like a short story collection on the screen, which I enjoyed, and they kind of all interlink as well, strangely. There's a character called LFM or something like that is in all 3 of them and kind of, yeah, ties them all together somehow. But I don't understand what possessed the man to make this movie, but I'm glad he did. So that's the end of my movies. I'm going to quickly talk about television because I've been watching a bit of TV recently because, voila, I have a new television, and with my TV I got like access to Apple TV for 3 months, so I'm just binge watching all the Apple shows that I want to watch, that I've wanted to watch for ages but hadn't been able to. So the first one is Foundation Season 2. Very much was kind of a step up from Season 1 and totally different from the books, kind of, but still kind of sharing some of the DNA. Like, humans and bananas, we share so much DNA but we're totally different. That's how I view Foundation. I really enjoyed it though. I thought that the progress in the story, where it's going, the fact that they're definitely going to do the mule, which I kind of knew they had to, but I'm excited to see how they do it, and I believe that'll be the story of Season 3. I just thought it was really fun and silly and beautiful looking. Like, the cinematography in this show is outstanding, and again, like, the invented material around the genetic empire is still, I think, probably part of the most compelling storyline, and obviously Lee Pace is the best. And I really also enjoyed the religious stuff in this as well. Like, I thought it was interesting to kind of show sort of the cult of the Foundation be born into like this religious stage, and kind of shows how a lot of civilizations go through all these different kind of stages and they inevitably come to a religious stage. And I thought that was an interesting look on human nature and how we're always just striving to believe in something, and maybe we need a bit of mysticism around it sometimes to help us follow and believe in something bigger than ourselves. I enjoyed the whole like introduction of the mentalics as well, but yeah, I'm glad to see where it's going, and I just hope it just keeps getting better. Then I watched Silo, which I really enjoyed. I thought I was going to be like, is it going to be as good as people were saying it is? Because it's just like dystopian stuff, recycling the same stories over and over again. Is it? Kind of, yes. But the execution I thought was really interesting, and just the idea of living in this like underground thing, thinking that the world is dead outside, but then seeing something that potentially changes your mind. You see like a captured image of like this beautiful vista and birds flying, and it's kind of framed as if it's been hidden from you. And so then you start investigating, and more things come to light that all is not what it seems. And yeah, I think it's very compelling television, and it's Rebecca Ferguson as well. Like, the Reverend Mother can do no wrong. Oh yeah, and I've started watching Dark Matter, but I'm only like a couple of episodes into it. But yeah, Schrodinger's cat mentioned in the first episode. Yes, love shit like that. I think physics is inherently interesting, and just the idea of it's not time travel, it's multiverse travel is very, very compelling. So yeah, I'll talk about that at the end of July. But yeah, essentially this has been my video. Let me know what you've been watching, what you've been reading in the month of June, and thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.